Welcome back to another episode of The Weekly Brief. My name is Brianna Nibbs, and I will be bringing you the latest coverage in national news, politics, world news, entertainment, and sports. Without further ado, let's get right into it. In national news, the jury has reached its verdict of the trial of Derek Chauvin, a former Minneapolis police officer who was charged for the death of George Floyd that took place outside a Cup food store 11 months ago. Chauvin pleaded guilty to all three charges, which include second-degree unintentional murder, third-degree murder, and a second-degree manslaughter. This comes after the jury deliberated for more than 10 hours after hearing the closing arguments of both the prosecutors and the defense. Chauvin's bail was revoked and was placed in handcuffs, being escorted from the courtroom. He could face up to 40 years in prison for second-degree murder, up to 25 years for third-degree murder, and up to 10 years for second-degree manslaughter. His sentencing is set for the next 2 months from now. The trial has lasted for 3 weeks, with 38 witnesses testifying, including a teenager who was widely seen as a bystander that recorded a video which brought global attention to Floyd's death. The video shows Chauvin placing his knee on Floyd's neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds while Floyd said, "I can't breathe." This video has sparked a massive outrage all around the US and the world, with numerous protests calling on the justice for George Floyd and fighting against the criminal justice system that dehumanizes African Americans as well as systematic racism. The all-guilty verdict led to cries of joy and relief among hundreds of protesters in Minneapolis, including the Floyd family, who were waiting and hoping for a guilty verdict. Civil rights attorney Ben Crump praised the verdict, saying, "Painfully earned justice has arrived for George Floyd's family and the community here in Minneapolis." But today's verdict goes beyond this city and has significant implications for the country and even the world. Justice for Black America is justice for all of America. This case is a turning point in American history for accountability of law enforcement and sends a clear message we hope is heard clearly in every city and every state, end quote. In politics, the House voted on Tuesday afternoon to block a resolution from House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy to censor Democratic Representative Maxine Waters following her remarks this past weekend, calling for the protesters to, quote, "get more confrontational" if the former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin were to be acquitted in the killing of George Floyd. The vote was 216 through 210, an extremely narrow margin to block the censor resolution. Representative Waters told CNN after the vote, quote, "I love my colleagues and they love me. I don't want to do anything to hurt them or hurt their chances for re-election. I will make sure that they are comfortable with my kind of advocacy so that we can all be sure that we can do the right thing, and I want to be clear about that," end quote. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy called out the Democrats on Twitter, quoting, "Speaker Pelosi and every other House Democrat had the opportunity to condemn the violent rhetoric of our colleague Representative Waters." He then continued on and said, "Instead, they condone it." The votes were in minutes before the verdict of Derek Chauvin was delivered in the Minnesota courtroom. In an interview with the Griot, Representative Waters slammed the GOP, stating that she is nonviolent and that she was not going to be bullied by them. In world news, Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny is on the verge of death after being on a hunger strike for 19 days in prison, demanding for proper treatment for acute back pain and leg numbness. Navalny was transferred to a prison in the city of Vladimir, Russia, where he's currently in a hospital unit, where doctor says his recent blood test results shows that he can suffer a cardiac arrest or kidney failure at any moment. 4 doctors, including his personal physician, have written to prison officials requesting permission to visit him urgently, in which they were denied access. The Biden administration is calling for Russia to be held accountable for the imprisonment of Navalny. White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki told the press on Monday that the administration will impose consequences to the Russian government if Navalny were to die during police custody. It is still unclear of what those consequences are. Navalny is currently facing a 2.5-year prison sentence for violation of terms in a 2014 embezzlement conviction that the European Court of Human Rights deemed as unfair. Navalny previously almost died of poisoning, which led him to spend 5 months in Germany for recovery before returning to Russia, where he was arrested. In the entertainment world, rapper and former Bad Boy record label mate Black Rob has died on Saturday of a kidney failure in Atlanta. Rapper and former Bad Boy Records label mate Mark Curry, who was by Black Rob's bedside, announced to social media that he has passed away. His death comes after the rapper was hospitalized in the days leading to the death of another hip-hop icon, DMX, who has died of a cardiac arrest. Mark Curry and the producer Mike Zombie started a GoFundMe page to help Rob pay his medical bills. It was reported by Curry that Rob was released from the hospital the next day and that he was put on dialysis. Black Rob, known as Robert Moss, was born in Buffalo, New York on July 12, 1969. He was later raised in Harlem. He started rapping at the age of 11 and was signed to Bad Boys Records, which is owned by rapper and music producer Sean Diddy Combs, in the late 90s. He released 4 studio albums, with his most successful 2000 album called Life Story, which debuted at number 3 in the Billboard charts and went platinum. Most importantly, he was best known for his hit single, Whoa. He collaborated with many of his label mates, including Diddy, Total, Mase, and Faith Evans. After his second album, The Black Rob Report, was released, he left Bad Boy Records, but his career took a turn for the worst when he was facing legal troubles on a charge of grand larceny. He was sentenced to prison in 2006 and served 4 years, followed by his release in 2010. Ross reunited with the Bad Boy record label in 2016 during the reunion tour. Many hip-hop artists have paid their tributes to him. On his Instagram page, Diddy wrote, "Rest in power, King. You have made millions of people all around the world feel good and dance," end quote. It was reported that Diddy will assist in paying for Black Rob's funeral expenses. Black Rob was only 52 years old. In sports, the wife of the late NBA legend Kobe Bryant announced on her social media page that Bryant's contract with Nike has expired after 18 years with the company. Vanessa Bryant wrote on her Instagram page, quote, "Kobe and Nike have made some of the most beautiful basketball shoes of all time, worn and adored by fans and athletes on all sports across the globe. It seems fitting that more NBA players wear my husband's product than any other signature shoe," end quote. She then added, "My hope will always be to allow Kobe's fans to get and wear his products. I will continue to fight for that. Kobe's products sell out in seconds. That says everything," end quote. Nike released a statement stating that, quote, "Kobe Bryant was an important part of Nike's deep connection to consumers. He pushed us and made everyone around him better," end quote. Back in 2003, Bryant left Adidas and became one of the most sought-after free agents in modern sports. He eventually signed with Nike and released 11 signature shoes. After retiring in 2016, he re-signed with Nike for a 5-year extension. After his death in last year, prices of his signature shoes has increased and sold out very quickly in that short amount of time. And that is all for this week's coverage. You can check back next week's weekly brief, where I will be bringing you more of the latest on the news. Make sure you subscribe to MIC's YouTube channel so you won't miss out. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Please wear your mask, stay safe, stay well.